Okay. Figure Mike, what are your thoughts about it? When you're self-aware, you don't have to prove
Do y'all know
anything.
what ego means?
Uh, you said, I'm sorry, say again, Mr. Eric.
I said, does everybody
Uh,
kind of know legally?
I don't
I
know
think
if
that's
that's
one thing.
Hey Eric, go back out and come back in.
Because
I
I
think there
think
was a question
ego
you
has a.
wanted to.
okay.
Hey Eric, go back out and come back in. You kind of freezing up.
I know what ego is, most definitely.
Yeah. So I think I focused on that part that says self-awareness, or talking about being self-aware, because we got to kind of focus on that particular part and define it as well. So positive self-awareness, in my opinion, is maturity, but negative self-awareness is narcissism or egotism, rather. And we see a lot of that from Jay-Z himself. I think somebody said the Ether saga and all of that. That's what egotism led him down that road, right? And I'll look back to I think Dr. John Henrik Clark said it. He doesn't debate. I'm sorry, he only debates with his equals. All others he teach. All right. And that positive self-awareness is when you know that you're kind of above all of it. And it takes time, right? If you are in a narcissistic area of your life and you feel like you got to take jabs and shoot back at everybody, then yeah, you're in that negative self-aware period of your life when you can easily brush things off and realize that these are just little people. These are just people throwing shots, and they should be honored that I even give them a response. Then you're probably in the positive self-awareness area of your life. And that comes with maturity. That comes with actually taking losses, right? So I think we're in a time now where people can provoke you into thinking they're your equal. I see that all the time. People throwing shots, jabs, and all of this, trying to provoke a response out of people that they don't really deserve. So I counsel young men, young frat, all of this, kind of know who you are. And it has a lot to do with knowing who your circle, who's in your circle. Sometimes I think people look to their right and they left and don't realize they made it to the big leagues. Right? It's like, oh damn, I'm here. I'm the champ. Right. So that just comes with maturity. And I encourage young men everywhere to kind of get into that positive self-awareness, realize that you're mature. Everything doesn't deserve an answer. It does not deserve a response. And damn, what did someone said it in a song. I'm the big homie. Don't be trying to lil bro me. That was like, to me, that was like mind boggling. Sometimes you just got to realize when you the big homie. All right.
Hey,
That's
Trigger
all.
Mike, I think
Yep.
I found it interesting what you said. You said that some people can trick you into thinking they're on your level, and I
Yep.
think that's a lot. That's a lot of what's going on social media right now. How many people
Yep.
go at celebrities and things like that just because they have access to them, and you know what I mean? Sometimes, you know what I mean? Kevin Durant is a prime example of that. Like, there's a lot, he give a lot of people a lot of power in his space.
Yep.
Because there's no reason why he should be responding to at least to 99.9% of the stuff that goes on Twitter right now.
Why shouldn't he respond if he feels like responding?
I mean, because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary for him to have to go at every single person that may have something negative to say about him. You know what I mean? That's one of the things you have to expect in a space where you're in the public, is that, hey, some people may say some things you don't like, and I think you give a lot of people energy when you respond to people that don't mean shit, or at least in your real life.
Well, from what I've heard, he enjoys the banter. He enjoys being able to connect with people on that particular level. I haven't seen it necessarily. Maybe you have seen it take away from what he does on the court. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you could probably even say the same thing about Michael Jordan, right? Because Michael Jordan, he took everything offensively. If somebody brought him his pizza wrong, like he's upset. You know what I'm saying? So not just if you're going to talk about Kevin Durant, then we got to speak about others as well. I'm just saying that if he wants to, I think it should be also have the liberty to do so. Now, if it gets him off his game, then I think that's different, right? Then that's when I can see what you're saying. But as opposed as Kevin Durant wants to talk to people that you would consider lower than him because he's a person. You know what I'm saying? He's not bigger than me. He just known more than I am. He's just a person, right? So I think that's what we got to kind of get out of that, thinking that just because somebody's famous, that they're more than us.
All right. Clout. When you're self-aware, you don't have to prove anything to someone else's ego. What are your thoughts about it?
I definitely agree with that statement of when you're self-aware, you don't have to prove anything to someone else's ego. And when the most immediate scenario that comes to my mind when I think of that, it might be a pretty crude scenario, but I always think of like somebody in the streets, right? Like I think of the guy who like know he got some shit with him, whether he has a weapon on him or knows, like, let's say he's a boxer, he got hands trained to kill. And it's like somebody comes up to him trying to test him, oh, you pussy, you this and that and that. It's like if you know the type of damage you can do, you really got nothing to prove to somebody trying to antagonize you or trying to get you out of your frame because you know what you can do. And the moment that you actually try to prove, feed into their ego or try to prove to them what you can do is actually the moment you make yourself vulnerable and put yourself in an opportunity to go to jail, put yourself in an opportunity to get hurt, get jumped. Somebody might shoot you. Like you don't know what situation you're putting yourself in. So as a man, I think it's definitely valuable to have the self-awareness to be like, you know what, I know what I can do, but I get to decide what I'm going to do because I know what I can do. And I'm not going to let somebody else decide what that is by making me try to prove myself to them.
All right. Shannon Rawls, you there? Shannon Rawls. All right, go ahead, Eric. Did you want to? I know you was cutting out last time. There's something else you wanted to add.
Yeah, is it good now? We good now?
Yeah, the audio is good, but the mouth is not syncing with the words, but we'll take it. Go ahead.
No, what I was saying was we need to understand what ego really is. I think the word ego has been defined by so many things and so many people that we don't even understand what the word really means. Over time, ego has been given such a negative connotation because we've been talking about ego death, killing the ego is something that we shouldn't even deal with, right? And we should be so humble that we're out of it. So I do understand some of the things that some of the brothers are saying. But the question was talking about proving something to someone else's ego. So I'm not trying to prove nothing to nobody else's self-esteem. I'm not trying to come at like who they are. I may debate you, but that debate has nothing to do with the ego. So, when it comes to the context of the question, if I'm self-aware, I'm aware of my ego, right? And I don't have to prove that to anybody. How I move shows you. How I speak to you how I speak to you shows you. So I don't need to ever do that to anyone. And then when it comes to business, yeah, that makes sense. But that wasn't the question.